Donald Trump received a lot of backlash after he confessed during his Tulsa rally that he wanted to slow down testing. Well, he was just recently asked again while he was apparently in front of a helicopter, whether he was joking, was that a statement made in jest? And here's how he answered.
I don't kid. Let me just tell you, let me make it clear. We have got the greatest testing program anywhere in the world. We test better than anybody in the world. Our tests are the best in the world, and we have the most of them. By having more tests, we find more cases. We did 25 million tests. Think of that, 25 million. If you look at other countries, they did 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, big countries. We did 25 million, way more by double, triple, quadruple any other country. Therefore, we test, we're gonna have more cases. By having more cases, it sounds bad, but actually what it is we're finding people. Many of those people aren't sick or very little. They may be young people. But what's happened is because of all of the cases that we find, we have a very low mortality rate. Just about the best in the world.
We do not have a low mortality rate. In fact, we're in the top 5 when it comes to high mortality rate connected to COVID-19. Just want to give you some of the latest statistics coming from Johns Hopkins University. Now this is per capita, right? So deaths per capita, that's per 100,000 people in the population. The UK has the worst mortality rate at 64.27. out of 100,000 people. Spain is at 60.62 and Italy is at 57.35. The United States comes in number 4 at 34.80. So I mentioned, I'm sorry, 36, not 34, 36.80. The reason why I mentioned that is because the United States actually does have a very high mortality rate compared to pretty much every other country that Johns Hopkins University is keeping track of, with the exception of UK, Spain, and Italy.
Okay, so first of all, I'm just tired of this guy. We have the best testing, with the best test. I'm so exhausted from it. I know everything's the best, everything's the strongest, the biggest. Just the nonstop carnival barker. Now, in terms of the reality, he's actually half right about what he's explaining. It's true, if you have more testing, you'll find more cases. But then what'll happen is the number of people who died, who were tested, will also go down, right? So meaning that your percentage of people tested who pass away will be lower. But we're also not that low in that score. So, and you can't fake a mortality rate. Largely, China covers up the number of people who've died from coronavirus, as some other countries do as well. But at the end of the day, if they died from coronavirus, that is what it is. And we're the 4th worst in the mortality rate. So that is independent of testing. They would have died whether you tested them or you didn't test them. Now, the reality is now this is the part where he's massively wrong. You could prevent some of those deaths if you effectively test and then trace the contacts of the person who had the disease. Germany did it, South Korea did it. Their results are much better than ours. Testing saves lives. Well, so what Trump, when he goes to finish his thought, okay, testing leads to more discovery of more cases, true. But the correct way to finish that thought is, so we should do more testing so that we can get ahead of this disease and make sure new people don't get it so we have a lower mortality rate. But he doesn't finish the thought that way. He finishes it by saying, well, it means that we know about more cases, and that doesn't look good for me. So I don't want it. It hurts me politically. I want you to think that there's less cases, even though they actually exist, whether you test them or not. I just don't want you to know the truth. That's why I was not kidding. I asked to slow down the testing, which could kill you, but it makes me look better. And that's the kind of despicable monster Donald Trump is.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to take the steps necessary to slow the spread of COVID-19. I mean, so many of the red states didn't even take COVID-19 seriously to begin with, and barely shut down businesses in order to flatten the curve. But they opened businesses back up prematurely partly because Donald Trump was urging them to, so the economy would recover and it wouldn't hurt his chances of re-election. Again, it always goes back to him. So while we finally did catch up to the bare minimum in testing, okay, seriously, the bare minimum in testing, the truth is it doesn't matter if we're able to test people more efficiently if we're not gonna do anything with that new data and that new information. Right now, we're not doing anything. We account for 4% of the world's population, but 25% of all coronavirus deaths. That is a stunning statistic. Now, I also wanna note that Donald Trump said that he wasn't kidding around one day after all of his cronies, including the White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, tried to defend him by arguing that he made that statement in jest. Take a look.
Here's the bad part. When you do testing to that extent, you're gonna find more people, you're gonna find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
Any suggestion that testing has been curtailed is not rooted in fact.
Did you ask to slow it down?
If it did slow down, frankly, I think we're way ahead of ourselves.
What are you saying that he told his people to slow down testing is not true?
It was a comment that he made in jest.
Come on now, Jake. You know it was tongue in cheek.
Did the president?
Come on now, that was tongue in cheek.
I know some people thought it was tongue in cheek. It's unfair.
Tongue in cheek.
Was that tongue in cheek or?
No, it's semi tongue in cheek.
We're 60 seconds into a tongue in cheek thing.
It's a comment that he made in passing.
I don't kid. Let me just tell you. Let me make it clear.
President, come on, it was a light moment.
Is it appropriate to joke about coronavirus when 120,000 people have died?
He was not joking about coronavirus.
What you heard from the president was frustration.
I tell my people it's a double-edged sword because we do so much testing. We test, we're gonna have more cases. By having more cases, it sounds bad. Instead of doing 25 million tests, let's say we did 10 million tests, we'd look like we're doing much better.
Another awesome J.R. Jackson compilation video. But yeah, he doesn't kid, Cenk. He doesn't kid. He didn't make that statement in jest.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely clear. But guys, here's the stunning thing about Donald Trump that we understood from day one, and it's taken about 4 years for everybody else to catch up. Just how stunningly unintelligent he is. So why did you have McEnany and Navarro and your acting Department of Homeland Security chief all go out and say that you were kidding? If you were gonna come out the next day and say you don't kid and that the reason you didn't do more testing is because it makes you look bad. You said it. You said the quiet part out loud. So why did you admit to the thing that they were trying to protect you from? Why did you have them lie if you were gonna undercut them the next day? Because you're an idiot and you have no ability to strategize. You can't think one step ahead. John Bolton wrote about it in his book. Now media is like, oh, Bolton said it, so let's take it seriously. Yeah, of course, it was plainly evident in everything he's ever done. He can't think one step ahead. So he threw himself under a bus today by admitting, yeah, I wasn't kidding. We slowed down the test because it makes it look bad. And it's caring about optics, it's caring about his political career over your life. On that alone, you should never consider voting for him.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.